Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez.
Ending for a young man.
I certainly think this guy had a great career ahead of him.
Dead in his cell this morning.
Aaron Hernandez was a rising star in the NFL, a young man with a multi-million-dollar contract, a fiancé, and a seemingly limitless future. But beneath the surface of his success lay a far darker story. By 2013, that promising future had unraveled into tragedy. Hernandez was arrested for murder, sending shockwaves through the sports world and leaving millions to ask, how could someone with so much potential fall so far? This is the story of Aaron Hernandez, a man whose life was marked by triumphs and tragedies. From his meteoric rise as a star tight end for the New England Patriots, to his shocking arrest and conviction for murder, and finally to his tragic death behind bars, Hernandez's story is one of the NFL's darkest chapters. Was Hernandez doomed by his troubled upbringing? Did the pressures of fame and fortune amplify his demons? Or was his tragic story the result of something much deeper, a complex mix of personal choices, unchecked aggression, and undiagnosed mental health issues? In this video, we'll uncover the rise, the fall, and the haunting legacy of Aaron Hernandez. We'll explore his journey from a troubled childhood in Connecticut to the heights of NFL stardom, and ultimately, to a prison cell. This is not just a story about football. It's a cautionary tale of how unchecked darkness can overshadow even the brightest light. Bristol, Connecticut, is a town that thrives on tradition and community, a place where football is more than a game, it's a way of life. For Aaron Hernandez, born on November 6, 1989, this small town was the backdrop for both his rise as a local hero and the seeds of a story that would later shock the world. To understand Aaron Hernandez, you have to understand his family. His father, Dennis Hernandez, was a local legend in Bristol, a former high school football star known for his larger-than-life personality and strict discipline. For Dennis, football wasn't just a sport, it was a way to instill values in his sons, Aaron and Jonathan. Dennis was both a source of inspiration and a source of pain. While he pushed Aaron to excel on the field, his methods were often harsh. Friends and family described a household where love and violence were two sides of the same coin. In January 2006, Aaron's world was shattered. Dennis Hernandez, just 49 years old, died unexpectedly after complications from hernia surgery. For Aaron, his father's death was more than just a loss. It was the beginning of a downward spiral. After his father's death, Aaron's personality changed dramatically. Once a disciplined and focused athlete, he became defiant and unpredictable. He began associating with older, more troubled kids and started lashing out at authority figures. Despite his struggles off the field, Aaron Hernandez was unstoppable on it. At Bristol Central High School, he shattered records and dominated opponents, becoming one of the most highly recruited athletes in the country. But even as he rose to fame, signs of trouble were emerging. Hernandez's temper became a liability, and he had multiple run-ins with coaches and teachers. By the end of his high school career, Aaron Hernandez was a star recruit. He had offers from major college programs across the country, but ultimately, he chose the University of Florida, a decision that would launch him into national stardom and deeper into a world of chaos. In 2007, Aaron Hernandez stepped onto the University of Florida campus as one of the most promising young athletes in the nation. At just 17 years old, he was the youngest player in the NCAA that year. But with his immense talent came questions about his maturity and whether the Gators could keep him on the right path. On the field, Hernandez wasted no time proving himself. Despite his youth, he started 3 games as a freshman and quickly became a key target for Tim Tebow, Florida's star quarterback. In one game against Kentucky, Hernandez caught his first career touchdown, a 29-yard play that showcased his speed and strength. At Florida, Hernandez was surrounded by talent. The Gators, led by head coach Urban Meyer, were building a dynasty. With stars like Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, and Brandon Spikes, the team was a national championship contender every year.
A smile from ear to ear. Our final score, the Florida Gators 49 and the Georgia Bulldogs 10.
For Hernandez, it was the perfect environment to showcase his skills, but also a place where discipline was often overshadowed by success. Hernandez's sophomore year was his coming-out party. In a season defined by dominance, he recorded 34 receptions for 381 yards and 5 touchdowns, cementing his status as one of the top tight ends in the SEC. He was instrumental in Florida's journey to the BCS National Championship. In the 2008 BCS National Championship game, Hernandez played a crucial role, catching 5 passes for 57 yards. Florida defeated Oklahoma 24-14, securing their second national title in 3 years. But while Hernandez thrived on the field, his behavior off it raised serious concerns. During his freshman year, he was involved in a bar fight where he allegedly punched a bouncer, fracturing the man's eardrum. The altercation reportedly started over a disagreement about a bar tab. Instead of facing significant consequences, Hernandez received a slap on the wrist. Urban Meyer and the Gators staff intervened, ensuring the incident didn't escalate. For some, it was an example of the leniency given to star athletes at Florida. By his junior year, Hernandez was unstoppable. He led all NCAA tight ends with 68 receptions for 850 yards and 5 touchdowns. His performance earned him the prestigious John Mackey Award, solidifying his place as the best tight end in college football. In one memorable game against Arkansas, Hernandez made a game-changing 44-yard catch, setting up the game-winning field goal.
Tipped by Davis, caught by Hernandez.
It was moments like these that defined his career, a combination of athleticism and sheer willpower. However, Hernandez's off-field behavior continued to raise eyebrows. In 2007, he was questioned in connection with a shooting outside a Gainesville nightclub. While no charges were filed, the incident highlighted his troubling associations with individuals from his hometown of Bristol. Urban Meyer, known for his ability to manage troubled players, took a personal interest in Hernandez. But Meyer's tenure at Florida was controversial, with reports later revealing that as many as 41 players were arrested during his time as head coach. After his junior year, Hernandez declared for the NFL draft. His on-field performance made him a first-round talent, but his off-field issues caused many teams to hesitate. In the end, it was the New England Patriots who decided to take a chance on him, selecting him in the 4th round of the 2010 draft. Hernandez left Florida as one of the most talented and controversial players in college football history. The cracks in his character, which had been smoothed over in Gainesville, would become impossible to ignore in the NFL. In 2010, the New England Patriots took a chance on Aaron Hernandez. A 4th-round draft pick with first-round talent, Hernandez was a player teams weren't sure they could trust. But Bill Belichick and the Patriots, known for turning misfits into champions, saw an opportunity to mold Hernandez into a star. Hernandez entered the NFL with something to prove, and he did just that. In his rookie season, he caught 45 passes for 563 yards and 6 touchdowns, quickly becoming a key weapon in the Patriots' offense. Quarterback Tom Brady saw something special in Hernandez. His ability to run precise routes, make difficult catches, and evade defenders was rare for a tight end. Brady's trust in Hernandez grew quickly, and the two developed a chemistry that made the Patriots' offense even more dangerous. In 2011, Hernandez became part of a historic pairing with Rob Gronkowski. Together, they redefined what tight ends could do in the NFL, creating mismatches that left defenses scrambling. Their combined 2,237 yards and 24 touchdowns that season were unprecedented. The 2011 season culminated in a trip to Super Bowl 46, where Hernandez played a pivotal role. In a high-pressure game against the New York Giants, he caught 8 passes for 67 yards, including a touchdown. But despite his efforts, the Patriots lost in a heartbreaking 21-17 defeat. By 2012, Hernandez was a star. The Patriots rewarded him with a 5-year, $40 million contract extension, making him one of the highest-paid tight ends in NFL history. The deal signaled that Hernandez was seen as a cornerstone of the franchise. Hernandez continued to dazzle fans with his versatility. In a 2012 game against the Houston Texans, he recorded 8 receptions for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns, showcasing his ability to dominate in critical moments. Unlike traditional tight ends, Hernandez was often used in unconventional ways. Bill Belichick lined him up as a slot receiver, a running back, and even as a decoy. This versatility made him one of the most unpredictable players on the field. Off the field, however, Hernandez's life was unraveling. Despite his success, he remained deeply connected to his past. He frequently returned to his hometown of Bristol, surrounding himself with people whose lives revolved around violence and crime. Teammates noticed Hernandez's erratic behavior. While he was focused and driven during games, his off-field demeanor was unpredictable. He was known to lash out at minor provocations, leaving some teammates wary. In the summer of 2013, the Patriots' trust in Hernandez began to waver. His involvement in altercations outside of team facilities and growing rumors of his connections to criminal activity put the organization in an uncomfortable position. In June 2013, Aaron Hernandez's life took a turn that no one could have predicted. A star athlete with a $40 million contract, he seemed to have everything. But beneath the surface, Hernandez was a man at war with himself, a man whose decisions would lead to one of the darkest chapters in NFL history.
Former Patriots player was carted into court. Here, he was charged with the murder of 27-year-old Odin Lloyd of Dorchester.
Odin Lloyd wasn't just a random acquaintance of Aaron Hernandez. He was dating Shania Jenkins, the sister of Hernandez's fiancée, Shayana Jenkins. Lloyd and Hernandez had spent time together, but their relationship was described as volatile, with rumors of disagreements in the weeks leading up to the murder. On June 17, 2013, Lloyd's body was discovered in an industrial park near Hernandez's North Attleboro home. He had been shot multiple times. Investigators found key evidence at the scene: a set of tire tracks, shell casings, and a chain of text messages sent by Lloyd just before his death, seemingly fearing for his life. Surveillance footage from Hernandez's home showed him returning just hours after the murder, carrying what appeared to be a firearm. Cell phone records placed him at the scene, and testimony from associates connected him directly to the crime. On June 26, 2013, Hernandez was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Within hours, the New England Patriots released him from the team, a move that shocked fans and the NFL community. As the investigation unfolded, authorities uncovered Hernandez's alleged involvement in a 2012 double homicide in Boston. Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado were killed in a drive-by shooting after an altercation at a nightclub. Prosecutors alleged that Hernandez carried out the murders in a fit of rage. Witnesses described Hernandez as increasingly paranoid in the months following the 2012 shootings. He installed a state-of-the-art security system in his home and began carrying a firearm everywhere he went, even to social events. The trial for Odin Lloyd's murder began in 2015. The prosecution painted a picture of Hernandez as a man consumed by paranoia and violence. They presented damning evidence, including text messages, surveillance footage, and the testimony of Hernandez's fiancée, Shayana Jenkins. On April 15, 2015, after 7 days of deliberation, the jury found Hernandez guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While serving his sentence, Hernandez faced a second trial for the 2012 double homicide. In a surprising twist, he was acquitted in 2017, as the evidence failed to meet the burden of proof. For a brief moment, it seemed like a glimmer of hope, but it was not to last. On April 19, 2017, just 5 days after his acquittal, Hernandez was found dead in his cell.
On the same day when his former teammates from the Patriots were at the White House celebrating a Super Bowl win.
Authorities ruled his death a suicide, but the discovery sparked speculation. Why would a man with a potential appeal ahead take his own life? An autopsy later revealed that Hernandez had severe chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a degenerative brain condition often linked to repeated head trauma. Experts suggested that the condition may have played a role in his impulsivity and aggression. Aaron Hernandez was once a name that inspired awe, a symbol of raw talent and promise. But by the end of his life, his name evoked something far darker: tragedy, violence, and wasted potential. The fallout from his story shook the NFL, devastated his family, and forced a reckoning with issues far bigger than the game itself. When Aaron Hernandez was arrested in 2013, the New England Patriots wasted no time. Within hours, they released him from the team, distancing themselves from one of the league's most shocking scandals. But even as they acted decisively, the damage to their reputation was undeniable. The Patriots were not just grappling with the immediate scandal, they faced scrutiny over their culture. How had a player with such a troubled background slipped through the cracks? And did the team's win-at-all-costs mentality blind them to the red flags? For the NFL, the Hernandez case became part of a growing narrative about player behavior and accountability. Critics pointed to a troubling trend. Talented athletes with violent histories were often given second chances, as long as they performed on the field. After Aaron Hernandez's death, researchers made a groundbreaking discovery. His brain showed signs of Stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE. The damage was more severe than what doctors had seen in players twice his age, raising new questions about the impact of head trauma on behavior.
This is substantial damage that undoubtedly took years to develop.
Experts suggested that Hernandez's CTE may have played a role in his impulsive and violent actions. His condition reignited debates about the safety of football and the league's responsibility to protect players. For Shayana Jenkins, Aaron Hernandez was more than a headline. She was his partner, the mother of his child, and his fiercest defender. Through every trial and accusation, she stood by him, even when the evidence seemed insurmountable. But Jenkins paid a heavy price. She became a target of public scrutiny, criticized for standing by Hernandez, even as the world turned against him. For her, it was a matter of love and family, but it was also a burden that she continues to carry. Hernandez's daughter, Avielle, was just 4 years old when her father died. She will grow up knowing only pieces of his story, pieces that are as painful as they are complicated. For her, the legacy of Aaron Hernandez is both a blessing and a curse. To some, Aaron Hernandez is remembered as a tragic figure, a man whose potential was destroyed by his own demons and the systemic failures around him. To others, he is a villain who squandered every opportunity and left a trail of destruction in his wake. Ultimately, Hernandez's story serves as a warning about unchecked violence, about the price of fame, and about the human cost of ignoring mental health and trauma. It's a story that transcends football, forcing us to confront hard truths about our society. The story of Aaron Hernandez is about more than one man's rise and fall. It's a cautionary tale that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about fame, violence, mental health, and the systems that shape our lives. As the dust settles, we are left asking, what lessons can we learn from this tragedy? Much of Hernandez's life was shaped by the environment he grew up in. Raised in a household marked by domestic violence and tragedy, he experienced trauma at an early age. Experts suggest that this foundation of violence and instability may have influenced his behavior as an adult. Hernandez's story raises important questions about how we address trauma in young people. Could intervention at an early stage have changed the trajectory of his life? And what role do coaches, schools, and communities play in providing the support needed to break cycles of violence? Aaron Hernandez's CTE diagnosis reignited debates about the long-term effects of football on mental health. His brain, ravaged by years of repeated trauma, became a symbol of the toll the game can take on its players. Since Hernandez's death, the NFL has introduced stricter protocols for concussion management and invested in research on brain injuries. But for many, these measures feel like too little, too late. The question remains, how can a sport as physical as football protect its players from the unseen injuries that can change their lives? For Aaron Hernandez, fame was both a blessing and a curse. The wealth and adoration that came with being an NFL star gave him opportunities few could dream of, but it also magnified his struggles, leaving him isolated and under constant scrutiny. Hernandez's story highlights the need for better support systems within professional sports. Teams and leagues often focus on performance, but what about the mental and emotional well-being of their players? Could stronger mentorship or counseling have made a difference? From the moment Aaron Hernandez was arrested, his story became a media spectacle. Every detail of his life was dissected, every decision scrutinized. But as we consumed the drama, how often did we stop to ask why or how this happened? Hernandez's story is a reminder that behind the headlines are real people, families grieving, communities struggling, and a life cut short. While the media plays a role in accountability, it also has a responsibility to balance sensationalism with compassion. In the end, the story of Aaron Hernandez isn't just about what went wrong, it's about what we can do to make things right. It's a call to action for everyone, for leagues to prioritize player safety, for communities to address trauma, and for society to seek understanding instead of judgment. The story of Aaron Hernandez is one of the most complex and heartbreaking in the history of sports. It's a tale of brilliance overshadowed by tragedy, a cautionary reminder of how easily potential can be derailed by the weight of unchecked trauma, mental health struggles, and poor decisions. But within this story are lessons about resilience, accountability, and the need for change. At Sports Hyped, we believe in exploring the stories that shape the sports world, not just the highlights, but the journeys that remind us of the humanity behind the headlines. Aaron Hernandez's story, though tragic, is one we can learn from. What's your take? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue the conversation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay tuned for more stories of triumph, heartbreak, and everything in between, only here on Sports Hyped.